Hello and welcome to the 741 channel. Today we're going to change the battery in my 2007 Chevy Suburban. On my 2007 Suburban, the battery is located in the engine compartment on the passenger side back near the firewall underneath this bracket. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove this nut on the positive terminal of the battery using a 10mm socket. Now, one thing to mention, I have this accessory wire on my car for a ham radio I have installed in here. Chances are you won't have anything installed here unless you've got some sort of aftermarket device in your car. So with the nut removed, I'm also going to pull out this wedge block. Now with the nut and the wedge blocks removed, this terminal can come off of the post. However, because it's been clamped on there, it still is sort of grabbing the post. So I'm going to use this screwdriver inserted right here in the opening in the clamp, and I'm going to twist it as if I were loosening a screw to spread everything apart. Now it slides right off. Now you guys probably can't see it, but the negative terminal of the battery is down here, sort of just behind this bracket. I'm going to remove the same nut on this that I did on the positive terminal. Apologize for the shaky camera, but we're going to go freehand for a minute just so you can see the negative terminal. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the positive and spread it with the screwdriver. Now I can reach in there and pull it off the terminal, but I have to move the camera out of the way to do that. So now I need to remove this bracket. There's 2 bolts here and 2 bolts here that I'm going to use a 13mm socket to remove. Now, as I'm removing this bracket, I can't help but notice that I've got the 2 battery posts nearby, and there's potential that I could drop this and short these 2 posts. I don't think it's very likely, but it is possible. So I'm going to be careful not to do that while I remove it. So now I'm going to fish my ham radio power wires out from under my zip tie and set the bracket aside. So next I need to remove the battery hold down clamp. I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but there's a single bolt down there sort of near the base of the battery behind that black strut that I need to remove. I'm going to use a 13mm socket and an extension to get at it. Okay, once that's loose, I can pull it out of here, and then I can grab the plastic hold down bracket and set this aside too. So now the battery is free and I should be able to just lift it out of here. For what it's worth, here's the battery compartment without the battery. I'm going to clean out all the dirt that's down here, and then we'll get the new one and put it in. So here's the old battery and the new battery side by side. Now the old one is a traditional battery that came from AutoZone. The new one, while it's the same size more or less, is an AGM battery that I got from O'Reilly. Hopefully this thing lasts a little bit longer than this one did. Time will tell, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to drop this into place, and I'm going to make sure that my positive terminal is facing the front of the car. But you may be able to see down there on the bottom of the battery tray, there's a couple of tabs that the lip on the bottom of the battery slides under. So I've got the battery all positioned so that those are engaged properly. Next, I'm going to bring in this plastic hold down clamp on the engine side of the battery, and I'm going to position this in place so that this lip goes over the tab on the bottom of the battery and that this slot lines up with the threaded hole in the bottom of the battery tray. Now I'll just tighten this up a little bit to make sure that the battery is clamped down, but not too much. Since that black bracket is plastic, it could crack. So now I'll pull these little protective covers off of the battery terminals. Next, I'm going to bring in the positive battery cable and get the clamp put down over the terminal. Next, I'm going to grab the wedges for the positive battery terminal. I'm going to grab this one with the tabs on it, and I'm going to drop it on so that the flat side faces against the battery terminal, just like this. Next, I'm going to grab the other wedge, and I'm going to install this one so that this face is towards the front of the vehicle, so that when mated together, they make a square. Now I'm going to bring in my accessory wire for my ham radio and put that down over the post. Now I can bring in the nut and tighten everything up. So next I've got the post for the negative battery terminal. I'll slip this underneath, and then I'll bring in the terminal and push it down over the battery post. On the negative terminal, I just have a washer and a nut to install. Now before, I had my ham radio negative wire attached here as well, but I think I'm going to move that to one of the chassis bolts instead. Now I can just tighten this up. Next I'm going to bring in this bracket and reinstall it. And this is where I'm going to use one of these hold down bolts to reattach the negative lead for my ham radio. I have removed a little bit of paint from the sheet metal here so that when I tighten everything up it makes a good electrical connection to the chassis of the car. Now since I changed the routing of my ham radio wires, I've got a new zip tie here to deal with that. And that should do it, but I'll double check and make sure the car starts, just to be sure. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to learn more about the battery that I used or my channel, check the links in the description below. Thanks for watching.